In the internet age, when fake news gets taken seriously, it can cause quite a stir in real life. Well, just this Tuesday, stocks in Twitter jumped more than 8% after an online publication claimed the company will be sold for $31 billion. The bogus article called Twitter Attracts Suitors, that was its name, surfaced on what appeared to be Bloomberg's website, the official one. In fact, it was an imposter. Well, just for comparison, you can see that the real site looks very similar. So you have to give some credit to those who put up the hoax for mimicking the media company's layout. They did quite an impressive job right there. Well, reaction came within minutes of the spoof first coming out. That morning, Twitter shares rose to almost $39 apiece. Bloomberg quickly reported misinformation, and about 10 minutes later, shares went back to where they were trading before that. OK, for more on this, let's cross to investigative journalist Tony Gosling. Hi, Tony, good to see you. So, this is rather curious, isn't it? How come fake news can sometimes have such an effect?
Well, this is a brilliant one, isn't it? For a few dollars, some scamsters put up a website that actually put, within 20 minutes, $3 billion on the value of Twitter before it was discovered. And of course, this is really an example of the sort of thing that can happen with the deregulation in the financial industry. There's lots of other reasons why, for some people, the casino banking world, this suits them. But the trouble is that there seems to be a kind of impunity built in. When people do this, it's very difficult, and certainly precedents will say that they don't actually get tracked down and prosecuted for this kind of thing. This is a kind of little game the 1% like to play with the rest of us. I mean, if you go back to January 2009, in the London Times, the whistleblower Jerome Kerviel, French guy, explained that they'd made lots of money in his firms by betting that insurance shares would fall just before the 7/7 attacks and the 9/11 attacks, and that it was one of the best trading days for them in history. So this is the problem, is that these scams are happening. Vast amounts of money, and of course, if someone's bet on, which of course they would have done, this Twitter scam, you can make millions, hundreds of millions of pounds in just a few minutes.
So that's why they're doing it then, obviously, to make money, is it? It's not just for a laugh.
Well, I would be very, very surprised if someone hadn't used the opportunity when there's such a massive spike in the shares to be buying at the lower price and selling at as the price rises. I mean, you've got a real problem here in the City of London with these sorts of regulation. And my point really on this is that the Securities and Exchange Commission and their equivalents in London in the city are simply not doing their job in tracking people down who are conducting these scams and making the money. I mean, we've got a whole list, haven't we? And Rowan Bosworth Davis, former Scotland Yard fraud squad detective, pointed out a couple of years ago that the amount of scams going on now in the city, particularly, are equivalent by the international definitions of organised criminal activities. That is organised crime, folks. I mean, we've had the LIBOR fixing, PPI, we've had foreign exchange, money laundering, interest rate swaps, scams. And what happens is the banks themselves are paying a fine, but the actual directors and the senior managers involved still walk the streets with a big smile on their face, having made hundreds of millions. And until the Wall Street and the City of London start getting serious about prosecuting the 1% that are getting away with this kind of crime, there's going to be no change. My prediction is that whoever's made money out of this, and I'm sure there will be some people, they will have been long out of the casino before the doors shut.
Oh, they'll be on their yacht, won't they? Having their champagne by now. All right, thank you very much indeed.
There is definitely a climate of impunity here. I don't think that the Securities and Exchange Commission and the City of London are really serious. In fact, some commentators have said that it's a unique selling point of the city nowadays that you can get away with any scam you want, criminality as accepted. And I would encourage your viewers to look at what Rowan Bosworth Davis, former Scotland Yard's fraud squad detective, has been saying on this, because Parliament doesn't want to hear, and we still haven't had the basic things that need to be done to secure the city, which is to separate the retail banking and from the casinos.
There's too much to say on this one, isn't there? But that's Tony Gosling. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate that.
Thanks, Katie.